Welcome to Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. Thanks so much for being a part of this broadcast. Thanks so much for being here, Sports Mixers. Thanks so much for being here with me. And as promised in the previous segment, my special guest, he's a motivational speaker, he's a college professor, and he's here to make sure he uplifts, enlightens, and definitely raises the spirits of many youngsters and many others who all could use this type of spiritual vitamin. Here's Patrick Phillips, and he is live with me here in the studio. Patrick,
what's going on, Nate?
Man.
How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, doing the best I can, doing the best I can. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be here. You know, it's always an honor. I was up late last night. I went to the Let Us Make Man Gala. We didn't get out till about midnight, but I'm here. I'm excited.
Oh, sweet. Oh, that sounds like one of those great events, man.
Man, it was, and they actually having a pretty great event on Saturday at Atlanta Metropolitan State College and Atlanta Technical College, where they're expecting anywhere from about 2,000 to 3,000 people to come out and just attend a series of workshops. It's going to be wonderful, I think.
Workshops, man. Yeah, motivational speaker, college professor.
Yes.
Which pretty much confirms you're smarter than me. So,
wait, let's not say that. The degrees don't mean anything, right?
Degrees don't mean anything.
Just because you're old, it doesn't make you wise, right?
Yeah. I think of some people that have worked on the same job, but that definitely applies.
Exactly.
Definitely. But one of your main titles you go by is Change Agent.
Yes, sir.
Patrick Phillips. So, Patrick, what makes you the Change Agent?
Good questions, I guess. Well, what I try to do, brother, is I just try to use a variety of different things to impact and have a good time, really, because you can't do this work if you're not having a good time while you're doing it. And what I do, man, is I've written the books, of course. I'm a college professor, but I like to make the educational, motivational hip-hop songs. I do a weekly video series. I do the workshops and the speaking engagements, and just using whatever format and platform that I can use to make a difference, man. That's what it's all about. And I didn't like the term motivational speaker because motivation is cool, but I consider myself more of a change agent because I'm looking for that long-term systemic change when I do a speaking engagement, when I do a workshop, when I write a book, when I do an educational song. You know, I wanted to stick with you for the long haul. So that's where the change agent came from.
My apologies.
You good, brother. I'm not going to hold it against you this time. No,
Patrick Phillips, the Change Agent, joins Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. Okay, now, Patrick, you have a book called A Young Man's Guide to Avoiding the Traps.
Yes,
Talk about that.
Man, it's a wonderful book, and the premise behind it is, if I tell you that there's a hole in the floor, right?
Yeah.
You can then avoid that hole in the floor and not fall through it. So that's what we talk about with the traps in the book, and we want to make the young men aware of those pitfalls and those traps that keep them from being successful in school and in the community. And a lot of people say, like, Phillips, where did the book come from? And it came from when I was a social worker with the state. They would always give me the more challenging young adults to work with. And consequently, I would always be down at the juvenile courts because they would be doing things in the community that they shouldn't. So I wanted to create something that let these young people know these are your common traps and pitfalls out there. The homie trap, the YOLO trap, the no goals trap, the no why trap. And while those titles may be like, what is he talking about? We're talking about very important topics, but we use the language that the kids use, and we meet them where they are, and we build them up.
Okay, while we're on that, let's focus on one particular trap. One I can definitely relate to because I've lived it. Chapter 7, the homie trap.
The homie trap.
I've lived that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you see the homie trap, what we're talking about is your peer groups, and a little bit more than just your peer groups. We're talking about your circle of influence. And you see what happens is, who's in your top five? What was that provider company said your top five? It was a cellular company. I can't remember if it was AT&T or T-Mobile. But your people in your top five are a true representation of who you are and probably what you will accomplish. And they rub off on you. You know, you can't be around people that are doing negative things and think, well, I'm just going to be okay. You're going to eventually get put in a situation or do something that you shouldn't be doing. And you see, that's what the homie trap is all about. I tell a couple of stories about people that I knew growing up and some of my personal experiences as well. Because, you know, that circle of influence is big. I'll give you a real quick story. I recently had a chance to participate in a speaking engagement, right?
Yeah.
And I saw the advertising about this engagement, and I called them. I said, "Hey, I would like to participate," and they said, "We're good." I was like, I was a little offended.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I'm the biggest guy on the planet, but I was willing to volunteer my time. I think I do this work well, and I said, okay. I said maybe next year. And I just came across, I was talking with a friend, and he happened to be involved with that speaking engagement. He said, we're going to get you on. And you see, that's what that circle of influence, that's what that homie trap is all about. Do you have people in your circle who got influence, that can influence you in the right way? They can provide you with resources that you did not have access to. And that's what we're talking about in that particular chapter.
Okay, right quick, could you simply touch on Change 101 Average is Crowded?
Got to. That's a personal development book, brother. And what we're talking about is, it says, average is crowded, a student's guide to self-actualization and standing out. And, there's this quote that says that I'll see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. And what that workbook symbolizes is, if you want to separate yourself from everybody else, you got to be doing stuff that other people ain't doing. And that's what we talk about in that book. We do a lot of self-exploration. We get into a lot of different topics. Lazy but talented. Don't be an eagle living as a chicken. Just different things, different principles that if you apply it, you'll do well. But the cool thing I really like about that particular book is it's not just a book, brother. Mm-hmm. It comes with a DVD too. So whenever people buy the book,
DVD,
they get a DVD and that workbook in which there's a chapter on the DVD for each chapter in the book. It don't get too much better than that, brother. You know how it is.
I can imagine. Definitely. Patrick Phillips, the Change Agent. Join Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. Okay, now, Patrick, I know you're quite the basketball fan.
Oh, yeah.
An avid basketball fan, I believe.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've probably watched some sports. And I know this is not your area, but still, obviously, we all like sports.
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay, well, that said, and maybe you've noticed this and seen this a lot, but Golden State Warriors, right?
Yes.
In particular, their star player and more than likely the inevitable back-to-back league MVP, Stephen Curry.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you've noticed the same thing I've noticed. A lot of the older players from the past, they just continue to criticize this guy. They continue to come down on him. And they keep saying, if he played in our area, he couldn't have done this. And
exactly.
if he did this, he wouldn't be doing this in our era. But, for me, you can't control that. Mm-hmm. I mean, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, one-on-one. Look, that would have been probably the greatest thing basketball could have ever seen. Both guys in the prime. But Jordan's from a previous era. LeBron's right now. And so is Stephen Curry. What do you think is with all of this criticism? The old timers from the 50s and 60s and 70s, like, why can't you just simply let Stephen Curry be?
Good question.
The great guy he is now. What's going on there? What do you think?
A couple of things, but first, before I answer the question, I got to brag. Not only I know a little bit about basketball, I got my championship basketball ring on today from high school, so I know a little bit about ball. But I think what we see is there is a difference that occurs with different eras in the game of basketball. If you look at some old footage, it didn't look like basketball. Those guys were playing football. They were tackling each other, fouling hard. So there are some rules that make it a little bit easier for offensive players to do their thing. You can't rough them up too much outside on the perimeter, different things like that. But, some of that may be just individuals not fully understanding that people are going to come from different eras. They're going to bring different things to the table. And the thing I like about Stephen Curry is I think he's revolutionized the game. And when I think of that, he kind of reminds me of what Allen Iverson did and Jordan did. When Iverson came in, he changed the game. He was the first NBA player coming in there. He had on 4X white tees, chains around his neck, braids, tattoos.
He was a true rebel.
He was a true rebel, and the NBA actually implemented, the dress code policy because of Allen Iverson. Yeah. And what we're seeing with Stephen Curry is this is a guy that you have to pick up as soon as he walks across half court. How many people do you really say that? So I think all due respect is due. And real quick, I was talking with a group of young people about Stephen Curry, and sometimes when we watch him, we see him shooting the threes and we see him winning games. But what I pointed out to them was that when you look at Stephen Curry doing his thing, when he makes a game-winning shot, when he makes a three, when he makes a tough shot, his teammates are celebrating as if they made the shot. And that comes a little bit to that circle of influence. Do you have people in your circle that want to see you succeed? And I think that that's what makes Golden State good. Like, we focus a lot on Stephen Curry as a player, as we should. But when you got to look at the coaching. You got to look at when this guy makes a shot, they celebrating like they made the shot. You know, and I think that plays a really big part in their team's success, and I think it kind of gets overlooked. But man, they're some monsters, and Stephen Curry might be the first unanimous MVP. We don't know. We'll see, right, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you can say that about the Spurs too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Patrick Phillips on Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. Okay, before I let you go, I should ask you this.
Yes.
What makes this journey most worthwhile?
I think it's when people respect the work that you do, and when you know you're making a difference, because there's a lot of different ways to make money, and to contribute, but when you're contributing to the betterment of society by pouring into the young people, because they are our future, and then you're able to make a difference in people's lives. That's what keeps me doing this, because it can be tiring, staying up late, shooting the videos, doing all these other things, but it becomes worth it. I'll give you a quick example. I was speaking at a middle school. They had I spoke to all the 7th grade boys in their school. It was about 140 of them. So I spoke with them, and after I was done, a couple of them walked over and they said, "Can I have your autograph, Mr. Phillips?" And I started laughing, like, "You want my autograph?"
They asked you that?
Yeah, I was like, "Sure, certainly." They took out a sheet of paper out their notebook and ripped it out, and of course I signed it. But it's the fact that I could be that positive role model. I can show them that they can succeed, because on my background, being raised in South Central Los Angeles, single parent home, I shouldn't be a college professor. I shouldn't be an author. I shouldn't be writing books. I shouldn't be doing motivational mixtapes. I shouldn't be teaching. But when we show them these things and expose them to them, now they can have bigger goals, dreams, and aspirations of just, rather than being an athlete or a rapper, now they can see that, you know what? Being a professor is a viable option. Being a president of the United States, that's a valuable option. Being the guy behind the scenes, not the rapper, that's a probable and valuable outcome. So that's what kind of keeps me motivated, and that's what kind of keeps me going.
That's kind of keeps you going? Oh. Well, Patrick, it's definitely been a pleasure.
Hey, Nate, you know I got to let them know how to get at me. Can I let them know how to get at me, brother?
Yeah, but go up on. Go ahead, man. Go for it.
Let me get it in real quick. But I'm on a lot of the social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All you have to do is search Mr. Phillips, the Change Agent, and I pop up. Once again, that's Mr. Phillips, the Change Agent, on those social media platforms. And my website is www.mrphillipsthechangeagent.com. www.mrphillipsthechangeagent.com. And Nate, I gotta thank you, man, for letting me come through and rock the mic a little bit with you. I know that you're a professional and that's what you do, but I'm excited to be here.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. You only helped the show by showing up, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right. Patrick Phillips, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Sports Mix, for being here. Thanks for having my back. See you next week.
Let's get it.